You have to always look up to somebody. There are people that have gone through this journey for 10, 12, 15 years, and they can make you achieve it in 6 months. All you need
That's
to do
right.
is just pay for that service and let them show you the blueprint. It's
That's right.
easy.
The flip side of it, people we don't date the light. No one make people say they even date the light. They want just stay quiet somewhere. They don't want to share the secrets with anybody. We all have to sort of change our behaviors. We know if we talk about Afrobeats, we no talk about Alaba. We know if we talk about Afrobeats, we no talk about even fashion. And I think people in Nigeria don't understand how far this thing has gone. It has gone very, very, very far.
My name is Jobless.
Babani,
This dude feels better. Hey, my brother, how far now?
Ade. First of all, let me just say thank you. I know how crazy your schedule is, and for you to find times, okay, I'll speak to you guys. I think it's an honor. So thank you so much for giving us that privilege.
When
Thank
you
you.
call me,
Mm-hmm.
what thing I go talk say they do? Well,
Uh,
What
no,
are-
now you Baba, you know now. You know, I know how crazy your schedule is. I know the number of things you do in ATL. I know it's been crazy, and at least if you know the see with the hair gist. So
it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit, but I'm also like honored to be, to be invited to talk to you because I see what you're doing from afar, and yeah, I really honestly appreciate it. From various standpoints. One is you're capturing stories that need to be told. That's the first part, right?
hmm,
And it's almost like we're breaking a very bad cycle of not documenting history.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the fact that you're even just getting people to come and tell their own stories, and now we have
mhm,
it captured in some kind of time capsule
yeah.
that lives on forever is
Mm.
amazing. And I don't know if that's how you're thinking about it, but
Yeah.
that's
There's a lot in my head. I swear there's a lot I think about. Especially if the story is not being told the right way, a whole lot of people are going to miss what that history is.
exactly.
And the only way we can capture some of those things is to start talking to the stakeholders, the guys that we know actually played the real game, you know. But let me start my question in one one way, and this is, how do you feel now when let's say when you hear Afrobeat? Let's say you're in your I'm going to give you two different scenarios. Let's say you're in your house just listening to music and somebody like Wiz popped up on your radio or Thames. How do you feel? What kind of feelings do you have? That's one. Secondly, if you're sitting with people, let's say you're just out there and somebody is just trying to tell you about Afrobeat and trying to give you what the history is as much as they know. How do you
So,
how do they feel?
so the first question, right? How do I feel every time I hear like Afrobeats in general,
Yeah,
especially in places that I never that most of us didn't even think were possible now, right?
yeah.
There is a feeling of satisfaction. There's a
Hmm,
feeling of success, a feeling of joy, a
hmm,
feeling of accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? Because
hmm.
these are dreams that we had and it's not something you can explain to someone today, someone who's just experiencing Afrobeats now, that
Yeah.
these are dreams that we had when there was absolutely nothing. And by
Hmm,
absolutely nothing, I mean there was a time in Nigeria where Nigerian music in Nigeria was not really appreciated, at
yeah.
least not by young people,
Yeah.
right?
Nobody listens to it. Yeah.
Nobody cared. Like if you listen to radio now in the 80s, they go play country music, play reggae.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was all
Yeah.
foreign music on
Hmm.
the media platforms, and then it was either you're listening to foreign music or you were listening to the very traditional local music, which only played at like the parties, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in between, you have people like us who are growing up listening to all these different genres of music, and somehow we couldn't find our voice. So
Yeah.
to finally find our voice and then to have the entire world
Bold. Yeah.
accept it in its natural raw form,
Form. Hmm.
there's nothing that gives me more joy. So that's the first question. And my answers are long. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah. No, we have all the time as long
Okay.
as you're not in a hurry.
No, I'm not in a hurry. The second thing, is when people are trying to tell me about Afro beats now, because I hear a lot of stories and I hear a lot of people talking about Afro beats and, oh, this is this and that is that. I understand that everyone is going to speak from, based on what did per se. I don't feel the need to even correct people because everyone's going to
Mm.
have their own narrative anyway. So there's so many
Yes.
different things that people say that I could just look there, just say, hey, yeah. If you were there, you would
Oh
know.
yeah.
But as you know, hey, shit,
Yeah.
speak your own truth, whatever your
Mm.
truth is. That's fine.
That's fine. Awesome. Awesome. So, like a typical example for me is the Afrobeat documentary on Netflix, right?
Okay.
When I saw that story, great work though, wonderful story by Egbon. Shout out to Ayoshonaya on that one. However, I think the old documentary didn't capture some of the essence, you know. Um, they have their own path when it comes to what the history is, which is more related to England, London, the movement over there. But
Mhm.
on our own side in Nigeria, there are some parts that went through Ajegunle, Festac, Akoka that was not really captured. And when I saw that documentary, I was like, sincerely, this Egmont can make 10 or 12 series of this thing because the story is still plenty, you know.
Story plenty.
You-
Now,
Did you say it? Did you see the documentary?
of course, I saw the documentary. I was in it for
Yeah, you were
in
in it.
one of
Yeah.
a couple episodes, so I did see the documentary. Now, here's my perspective on it.
Hmm.
Perspective. There are various perspectives to the story. People will only tell a story from their own perspective.
Hmm.
Now, when the documentary came out, a lot of people reached out to me and they say, the story is incomplete. How can they skip this? How can they miss that? But
Yeah.
you were there. Why didn't you tell them this? Oh, and my whole thing is this: when someone is trying to do something, they're going to do it from their own perspective.
Perspective, yeah.
The example that I gave when someone said, "Oh, and this says the Afrobeats documentary, therefore, this is like the official history." I said, first of all, this is on Netflix, it's not on the History Channel. And
Yeah.
even if it were on the History Channel, no matter who's telling the history, they're going to tell the history from their perspective.
Yeah.
If Jobless were to do a documentary today, you're going to tell a history that centers around a lot of what you know. You can't tell the history of hip hop in Jos or Kaduna. You can't,
You can't.
because
Yes.
you weren't there and you didn't experience that. And that was not a big part of your story. So I feel that more people need to tell their stories.
Stories, yes.
More documentaries need to be made,
Yeah.
because there's no such thing as this is the truth and the only truth. No, this is your truth, because this is your view of what happened. There are other people that also have other perspectives. So the more of those perspectives we can all hear, the better it's going to be. Think about Malcolm X
Yeah.
or Martin Luther King. Do you realize that there are like 50 Martin Luther King documentaries out there? Over
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same story.
There-
But guess
yeah.
what? It's 50
different perspective. Oh
perspectives of
yeah.
the same
Yeah.
story. We know if we talk about Afrobeats, we no talk about Alaba. We know if we talk about Afrobeats, we no talk about even fashion. There's
Yeah.
so many elements of Afrobeats where we say, if you don't, and depending on whose perspective you're looking at it from, if you don't capture those things, then it may not be a complete reflection. So my challenge to everyone is tell your own story.
Yeah. But do you think if we want to actually look at what the bases are, right?
Mhm.
Most of all this older story are being most of the influence came from one source, which is still back home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say it that way? Like there is actually a foundation that actually influenced the others. So most people don't pick the story from the root itself. They pick it along the way.
Yeah, because they joined it along the way. So
yes.
when you think about the roots, right? If you ask someone who's from our generation, and by our I mean you're part of my generation, right?
Yes.
If you ask someone from our generation, we probably got involved from like I would say Raskimono, Blackie,
Alexo,
Alexo, era.
Alexico. Yeah.
If you
era, yeah.
the people from that generation, they
Ration.
probably got involved at a different.
True.
So everyone's gonna
True.
tell the story. If
Yeah.
you
True.
if now when whiskey blow, now you go on Sabi
Get down.
Afrobeat. You get
Yeah.
how you go talk am now.
Of course, even all these Gen Z believes in a whiskey and David start
You get what I'm
Afrobeat.
saying? Now you can look
Yes.
up and say, no, 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 no. Before the branch, there was nothing. That's what people are gonna say. So it just depends on what part of the timeline you came in
I
on,
mean,
right? The one undeniable truth is that the end of the 90s was when the movement began. That's the one
yes.
undeniable truth. There
Yes.
were things that were happening prior to that, but end of the 90s, like 99, early 2000, now that time, now the whole like big movement start
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
were doing things.
Everybody was really coming
I was
in
on
big
tour in
time.
1996. I did Rothman's Groove Tour in 1996,
Hmm.
right? I went on tour
Yeah.
by myself as a solo artist. Nobody
Yeah.
knows that.
Yeah. I
Nobody
remember I did
knows.
one of those too.
No,
Benson and Edge's
Benson
groove
the
or something.
Hedges, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows these kinds of stories. So basically, what I'm saying, Jobless, is that it just depends on who's telling the story, and that's why more people need to tell their
Yeah,
stories.
story. Awesome.
I think
Awesome.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you, I mean, LD, you're a visionary. You see 10, 20 years ahead. I don't know the person we see pass between you and Tinubu. You they see you they see ahead of everybody. But did you see this? Did you see this status of Afrobeat? Did you see it today, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago? Did you see it this big?
30 years ago, and when I say this, it would seem like it's easy to say that in retrospect, but I promise you, I saw it from the very beginning.
I swear, I know.
I saw it from the very
I
beginning.
knew. I knew you saw it.
The reason I saw it, and I don't know if I've said this anywhere else. The reason I saw it from the very beginning was because I witnessed the birth of hip hop.
Hmm.
And by the birth of hip hop, again, this is depending on the timeline of when you join, right? The birth of hip hop for me, when hip hop became a mainstream genre, right? Meaning when it started to go on television, because we had early access to satellite TV.
Yeah.
So I saw Yo MTV Raps start. I saw The Basement start. I saw all of those shows start. I saw all of the artists that became Grammy award winning artists when they were still hustling their tapes. I bought Craig Mack and Biggie's demo. Like I had a demo, Craig Mack and Biggie's actual demo that Diddy and them people were hustling in New York.
Wow.
So my point is this: there was a blueprint,
Hmm.
and that blueprint was clear. The whole idea of wanting to try and figure out distribution, wanting to try and figure out how to get the music, recognizing that doing campus shows was the way to spread the gospel in a sense. All of those things came from the blueprint of what I saw with hip hop in America. I recognize that black people in America are just 10% of the population.
Yeah.
If 10% of the population in America can create something so viral, then I was very confident that we could do the same thing in Nigeria. This is the reason why in the beginning, I always also recognized that if you did not have a movement, it was not going to work. One person could not do it. It had to be a movement. You had to start a culture. This is why from the beginning, I don't know how much you remember, but I always wanted a crew. I didn't.
Yeah.
I told you I was doing this by myself in 92, 93. But then I was like, you know what? This is not going to work if it's just me. I need a crew. People have to see various, angles to this culture that we're trying to sort of showcase. And the truth is that culture already existed. We just needed to bring it out somehow. And the music helped us bring it out.
Yeah, a lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's because I can tell the way you started the movement with tribesmen and moving to tribes and bringing everybody on board and everybody with different styles. I'm like, this man see past within all of us see. I did not realize it at that point, but now when I think about all those things, then I get it. Like, oh, okay, I think LD saw it coming. He knew where this was going, And I'm so glad right now when you listen to the new generation. And first of all, let me ask you, who's your top 5 right now today?
My taste is very weird because there are certain things that I listen for in the music.
You like me?
If you're a musician, you don't have general population taste, but If we're talking about the artist that everyone knows,
Yeah, everyone knows.
I
Yeah.
really like Fireboy.
Oh,
Obvious. Well, okay. Let me back up a little bit. So if we're talking about the artists that are sort of at the top of the playlists today, I
mhm.
really like Fireboy. Obviously, I like David and Wiz and
Yeah.
Burner. I like Tua Savage a lot. Um, I like I like what the Maven crew are doing with a lot
The
of
new
their
guys. Yeah.
new artists. I
Yeah.
really like what they're doing there. I think that that's sort of the future of Afro beats in a sense. So people plenty, but if you're asking me like
Yeah.
just in general, people with me I enjoy. We did my playlist regular. You
Mhm.
get Fireboy is definitely there. Joe Boy is there. Um, Oxlade is there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, who else? They would vex now. Say I don't mention any
The
rappers.
name. I'm
Actually,
right.
I like the rappers too. I like Black Bones, Vector. Obviously, love Vector.
Yeah.
And I'm not mentioning One Day Cole, MI. Those ones are like they don't enter legend status, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
of the new guys, Vector self go vex. They call him new guy, but you get the idea, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
I get it. I
I
get it.
listen to a very diverse range of Afrobeats. I try to like listen to everything that people are doing because I'm still vested. Like emotionally, I'm vested because I want to see the genre, get bigger and bigger and bigger. And
Bigger,
I
bigger,
feel
bigger.
like a lot of what those guys are doing will help the genre.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome. And that's true. I believe these guys are carrying the flag and they're really representing the best way they can. And it's crazy. Sometimes I when I even go to, when you go to an all white store like
Mhm.
this one's not, and on their radio you're hearing Fireboy, you're hearing Joba, and I'll be like,
Bro, I'm
on
not
this
tell you
thing.
story. I'm not tell you story.
Yeah.
We go cruise, cruise ship,
Yeah.
touring the Caribbeans. When we did dock for every country, we went to 5 countries, and everywhere except Miami. Now Afrobeat they take welcome us. For Honduras, Roatan for Honduras. As we they reach, as the boat they pull up, so they will get welcome party. We will
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
dance and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which song they dance to? Up the Maserati. I say, wait. First of all, we don't know waiting these people they talk for this for this music. Why be saying waiting they play for here? But this, but the point is, the music is global. I'll tell you another story. Again, traveling around because when you do your own circle, it's easy for you to just believe that. Oh, okay, it's
Yeah.
because I'm around people like me, or maybe the
Mhm.
people around me gravitate towards the things that I like, right?
Yeah.
But we go Venice. We're there for like a week. Now we be the only black people we did the whole island. At least that I saw, Sha.
Yeah.
Apart from people they walk, maybe like 2 or 3 people. But when we went in every store we enter, like you go Chanel store, go Louis Vuitton store, go any of those stores.
Mhm.
Now Rema did they play? If they not play, they know they play Rema. Did they play Burner? If they know they play Burner, did they play Wiz? Like that is the music the world is listening to. And I think people in Nigeria don't understand how far this thing has gone. It has gone very, very, very far. And it makes me extremely proud.
You should
Extremely
be.
proud.
You should be. Let me take it back to you, LD.
Mm.
You started in Kaduna, right? You
Yes.
were born in Kaduna. Did you grow up in Kaduna?
Zaria. I was born in Zaria,
Zaria, okay.
ABU Teaching Hospital. Yeah, but I grew up in Kaduna. Yes.
Oh, okay. So I want to understand how hip hop became a thing for you. How did it start from that time you were in Zaria to the point you started Tribesmen?
So really what happened was we had early exposure, like I said earlier, to hip hop.
Mm.
We started watching MTV very early. And we started learning about the culture. We started really understanding Black American culture at a very young age. So I'd say maybe when I was like 8, 9, 10, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, everybody was in love with Michael Jackson. Thriller was the biggest thing at the time.
Yeah.
So, there was that part. And then there was now all of these young people that we could really relate to in terms of fashion, in terms of just culture in general. All the clothes we wore, we were trying to mimic those guys. I remember when I did secondary school that time, me and my best friend would go wear our shirts backward like crisscross. Go to school.
Yeah.
The influence was enormous, right?
Mm.
the local channel NTA in Kaduna would play from 4 p.m. to midnight, but satellite TV was 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you can, so I mean, and obviously NTA know they show things they as interesting
Yeah.
as waiting they watch for satellite TV
Satellite
that
TV,
time.
of
So
course.
it made it, they really, really influenced us, which is why this is probably another reason why you'll notice that the early renaissance of hip hop in Nigeria, most of the early rappers, now north of them from come, Jos, Kaduna,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and this is before Abuja was even a thing, right?
Introduced. Yes.
In the late 80s into the early 90s, we were already very heavily into American hip hop and the culture, breakdance and everything. With a skateboard for Kaduna 1988, I remember, right?
Wow.
Breakdancing was like, nah, just part of our normal. You get what I'm saying? So I even feel like when I got to Lagos, I used to look at Lagos and think, man, these people are so behind. Like they don't even know as they go. You know, as they go for it. For and
Yeah.
that's kind of the perception you would have if you grew up in Kaduna around that time. So for me,
Mm.
the expression when I decided that I was going to start to perform when I did secondary school that time, the easiest thing to do was the thing that I understood the most, which was to rap.
Mm.
But then I started to also recognize, and this was from listening, I can never forget that interview. There was an interview where Ed Lover, they follow Busta Rhymes, Queen Latifah, Naughty by Nature. So it was leaders of the new school and Flavor Unit,
Mm.
right? These were two
Yeah.
crews.
Yeah.
All they come do interview. They can't jam for there. They can't they yarn. They can't say, okay, bring everybody in, right?
Okay.
And one of the things that they said was that notice how every single person has a different style. You can't copy somebody else's style and stand out. And that thing stuck with me because it was that moment that I realized that in order for us to stand out doing what we're doing all the way in Kaduna, we needed something that would make us unique. Busta Rhymes was different from DMX, was different from Nas, is different
It's
from
different from everybody.
everybody was different.
Yeah.
Everyone had their own style. In fact, that time, if you copy person's style, they said you're biting, right?
Yeah. You're
It
biting.
was
Yeah.
not accepted in hip hop for you to copy somebody else's style. So that was what made me start thinking, oh, I guess figure out waiting if you do with Busta Rhymes no fit do. I guess figure out waiting if you do with Nas no fit do because I know fit out rap Nas sounding like Nas
That's
or,
yeah.
or Busta Rhymes or whatever, which is when I started trying to learn Pidgin. They hear everything they tell you. I actually started learning Pidgin in secondary school. Say, okay, you know what? If I feel understand this Pidgin, maybe now waiting will make me stand out. Be that. So it now became a conscious effort to make it local. It became a conscious effort that, okay, you know what? I get it. We're rapping like these guys, but no, rapping like these guys is not how this shit is going to pop. We have to do our own thing.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. And that's how my music journey began. Because when everybody else go come do American rap, me, I go do that same American rap. I go come put some Niger stuff inside. So immediately the whole crowd loses their minds. They're like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah. That's different. Yeah. That's different. Yeah.
So that was kind of how it started. And then, you know, I moved from Kaduna to Lagos to go to Unilag. I was actually supposed to go to Yankee, like everybody else around me, but my papa didn't agree. Said I needed to come to Lagos and, you know, be in Unilag and stay in Nigeria or whatever. So I moved to Lagos, and KB was in the same school with me in Kaduna. We kind of
okay. Oh, okay.
So as we reach now, they do, and then we did a couple of demos, and then one of our guys back then, Swave, introduced us to Rugged Man and Freestyle.
Yeah, I know Swave. Yeah.
So Swave been do one soundtrack, movie soundtrack that time, where Freestyle and Rugged Man did on top one song. So when he played the songs, was these guys too are we rapper, you know? Because then to us, we're very bougie. We look and say, man, all these Lagos boys don't sabi rap, right? so we're like, we'll be like, these was like, okay, come introduce us to these guys now. You know, make we try connect. So that's how we met Freestyle, met Rugged Man as well. And this whole idea of no, we have to make it local. It was a struggle in the beginning because Freestyle understood it and he recognized it, but I don't think in the beginning. And big shout out to Rugged Man. I don't think Rugged Man saw it in the beginning.
Yeah,
because to him it was just like, nah, man, we got to keep it real. I'm like, no, bro, keeping it real is doing this one. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There's a
bring it
reason.
home. You have to bring
You
it
know what I'm
home.
saying? I bring it
Yeah.
home. There's a reason why this thing is working. And by this thing at the time, we didn't even have any like tribesmen songs, or there was no rugged man's or any of that yet. Now just demo we still do. But I recognize that every time we did it and we added like local um pidgin, Yoruba, Hausa, whatever into it, people just connected to it better.
Yeah.
So that just became the format.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, I mean, long
And that was
very
the
long, but
and that was the blueprint.
that was the
That's the
blueprint.
blueprint you gave to everybody, and that was where everybody picked it up from. Then from there, it went to typical extreme Yoruba for people like that green, and we make the 100% like, okay, this is where the attraction comes from. That is where
Right.
people want to. Yeah. So that was, oh man, that was the one blueprint that they're supposed to pay you for.
It was, yeah. I mean, it's easy. It's not easy for me to try and take credit, because I feel like if somebody else had my experience, they would have done the same thing. It
True.
was just based on my experience. Okay, I hear hip hop. I like what they do. I see as they grow. I see how these guys they come. They will carry their cassettes. Now cassette everybody get that time. They will carry their
Yeah.
cassette home.
Yeah.
A hand they go take write the name of the song on top of it. I'm talking about the big hip hop artists that everyone now knew later in the 90s. Like I saw
Yeah.
all of them when they were starting. So I was like, oh shit. If these guys can do it, we can do it.
Yeah, we can.
We can do it.
Yeah.
And so we did it. So it was like, okay, what's the first challenge we need to solve? Okay, we need to create our own music because it has to be original. We know if they do all this instrumental, waka again, just carry somebody else's song, remix them. No, it has to be original. How do we make it original? We have to create it. How do we create? We need to produce. Okay, what are the tools that we can use to produce? You know, say shake body beat now on top paper, I sequence them.
On top paper. Ow.
Let me explain. So
Okay.
you know that graded paper where they use, what did they call them for Nigeria? That exercise book we get lines.
2B. 2A or 2B.
That exercise book now we get lines.
Yeah,
we get
yeah, not 2A. 2A
they
and 2B.
like
With
this.
yeah.
So that graded paper, I carry and go studio. Actually, I go studio. I go not Charlie Boy studio. I go. I can never forget. The engineer they use what's the name of that? Cubase.
Cubase, yeah.
He goes Cubase or no, it wasn't Cubase. It was the other one. It was either
Atari.
Cubase,
Atari.
Atari. It was an Atari ST,
Okay.
but he was running the first version of Cubase, I think.
Okay.
So when in the sequence the music, I noticed the bars and I noticed the loop and I noticed the count.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when he tells me to play something, every time I play something, the MIDI notes go they
Yeah.
captured on that.
Yeah,
Come.
Yeah.
I suppose we do this thing on paper because that time now 2.5 for 4 hours and 2.5 that time compared to now. Like
Nah,
I
big money.
like 250 professional. Almost it was a lot of money, right?
Crazy, yeah.
So we don't pay the first 2.5. We don't see the sequencing do properly. Now I can say, okay, no, I have to figure out a way to game this studio nonsense. So what I need to do is go home and sequence it on paper and come back and not play it and just tell the guy use the pencil to write the MIDI notes. So when you write them, you know it'll be on beat.
Yeah.
It no go get swing.
Yeah.
That boom. If you just stay on top of the beat, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. It go day full 16. You know go feed do triplet. We
Yeah.
go get small delay. So I basically now explain to the guy that okay, can you move it just a little bit, just move on small, so that I could get small swing inside. Anyway, long story short is that was how Tribal Marks and Shake Body were created
Wow.
on paper. Karen goes. So my whole thinking back then was, how can we solve that problem? Okay, now I don't get computer. Let me get the software. What software do I need to get that can make this thing easier? One day I did scroll through, I did download that time. Shout out to no be BitTorrent back then. It was not be Napster. There was some tool where we take download.
Yeah.
I download Fruity Loops.
Yeah. Fruity.
Download and burn them for CD for all my boys. Share them, give OJB, give Paul, give everybody Fruity Loops.
Wow.
Hey, we found the software and we started now using Fruity Loops. And so the point I'm trying to make is that every step of the way, there was some kind of challenge to solve. There was something that needed to be okay. So we created the music. Now that we created the music, how do we distribute the music? How do we spread the music? Okay, now that we've started spreading the music, how do we get it to this next level? Okay, now that we've gotten to that next level, what is the next challenge? So it's basically for me in the beginning, it was always, what's the next challenge? Okay, we need to shoot video, Abby. What do we need to shoot video? Okay, we need to get camcorder. Where can we get camcorder? How do we get camcorder? Okay, cool. If we're trying to shoot, okay, we need to figure out the clothes we will go wear. Who go be the stylist? Who go? All of those things were basically off of, like I said, the blueprint of just seeing American hip hop
and how did, and you did everything. You did everything.
We tried.
Yeah, everything. Like from directing, from directing to production to producing to live band, everything LD was there.
We tried.
Wow. So is there anything new coming from you musically? Are we ever gonna get something from LD anymore?
No, I don't think
so. Like Don.
So there's something in our culture that irks me. I don't really like, and it's that people don't realize when their time is up. People don't realize when it's time to allow new blood to enter into a system. People don't realize that everybody is here for a specific purpose.
Yeah, purpose.
Everybody's here. Everyone has a purpose. My purpose, in my own opinion, when it comes to Afrobeats, was to inspire people, to show them that it's possible, and to break certain barriers. It would be foolish of me to think that I would be the only one that can continue to break barriers and get us to where we are right now.
Yeah.
I'd be an idiot if I was thinking that. Recognizing also that new ideas come from the most naive places, meaning people will just come, we never get baggage of history. Now then they always come up with new ideas.
Yeah.
They will always sound foolish in the beginning, but a lot of what they're saying and a lot of what they're doing is what makes new possibilities. So in a way, look at our leaders. People don't lead us for Nigeria since 1969 and still they up till now. That's the reason why the whole place is shit, because it's the same old ideas, the same old people with the same old mentality doing the same old things. It's impossible to grow that way. The only way we can grow is if we allow new blood to come into the system. Death is a very terrible thing, but it's also beautiful when you think about it. Because death is what allows progress. If people know they die, some ideas have been dead 10,000 years ago go still there right now. You have to recognize when you have fulfilled your purpose, then let other people in. Our government can learn from this. There's no reason why people who are in their 70s are trying to be president in Nigeria. To me, it's a failure, because that means you never groom anybody this whole time. If he come bring in new ideas, you believe in you, we go still do still this, you go do everything. So my mentality is let new people in. Let new people in.
Yeah, I mean, Baba, well said, and I really understand where you're coming from. But there's something about music when it's into you, right? There are times, like somebody like me, there are times I'll just decide that anything music related, no even follow me, I not even be interested. Right? And at the same time, if it be just a week after, I could just ginger, just find this rhythm, just begin the write. Say, I'm sure make I record that, but I cannot record that. This thing makes sense, so then I would find myself back in studio recording. I'm not with the intention of making it profitable, but just for the love.
For the love.
Yeah, I just still do it. And funny enough, I saw Freestyle, like a couple of maybe a month or two ago in Nigeria promoting new single, and I was like, wait, this thing, I think things are only media effect, but this thing not drug. like say, this man still went back. He still went back to Beat FM. I'm like, I actually understand this. I understand how this feels. They really leave person like that.
They leave person. I agree with you there, 100%. They leave person. I think, and honestly speaking, I'm not trying to shit on passion. because a lot of us music not passion,
A
right?
passion. Yeah.
Nobody, they're in control. Like they say, music is not something that it comes to you. It's not you that go to. You can't go to music. Music comes to you,
Comes to
right?
you.
So it day inside your if it day inside your blood, there's nothing you can do. Like for me too, times I go hear some songs. You know how many remixes in my head of all the big songs. I did hear
Yeah.
Unavailable the other day. I say, fuck, man. Man, if I get 16 bars on top of this song, I will destroy him.
Destroy
My mind. For my mind. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, just personally, I felt like it was time for me to do something else. And then also going back to my whole idea of what's the next problem to solve, that I found to be what drove my own that was always the biggest fuel that I have was to solve problems. So that if I can solve problems in other spaces outside of music, I still feel fulfillment.
Fulfilled.
If music is the thing that gives you the most fulfillment, by all means,
Yes. Go for it.
continue to do it. Continue to do it. You know, if there's something else that gives you fulfillment, like in my case, I found new passions, new things that I love to do, and I started to pour all of myself into those things to the point where I don't even remember. I don't ever do music before. Sometimes you get some places where I go day with some question. Hey, I go look. Oh shit, yeah,
Oh, that's my name.
like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. One time with okay. I see. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, big love to everybody. Love to Free. Love to
shout out
anybody,
to Free, man.
Shout out to Freestyle. Love to everybody who's out there really trying to pursue the thing that makes them happy. It's very important. I guess for me, I just felt like the way that I am, I always do things with like I don't understand how to be half-assed with anything. And in order for me to be able to do it at the level that I would want to do it, if I was still doing it now, I felt like I would be competing. And because of that, I decided, you know what? No, let somebody else do this. Let other people get a shot at this, because maybe my petrol don't finish for my purpose where I supposed to conserve. You know what I'm saying? Right. Serve your purpose and then guide. This is the other thing too. People where they do them right behind me, I provide a lot of support to people too, until my support is not relevant to them anymore. And I've seen a lot of artists grow, behind me that way.
Yeah. One big one that I actually wanted to dig in the conversation is, at a point when everything was working fine for you, you're in the forefront of this movement, you decide to leave. Like, you don't even leave based on say, okay, make I leave silently. You actually made a song and telling everybody, I'm leaving. Like, Mama, that's crazy. Like, I left too at some point, but I left silently. Nobody knew. Everybody still feels like the Lagos, but I don't move. But when you were leaving, you left with a public announcement, like, okay, I don't even know when I'm gonna be back. I'm going and I'm going.
Gone. Yeah.
What prompted that, and what kind of belief is that? That's you, Baba. They study you as a course, like.
Man, no, you're too kind to me. So I think it comes from saying what you feel at any point in time, what you really feel, saying how you really feel. Like, it gets on my albums where I go listen to now, I'll be like, damn, man, that was a very dark time in my life. See the kind of thing where they talk, right? But every single album and every single song that I made was about how I was feeling in that moment. So in that moment, when I decided I was going to leave, I had made up my mind that I didn't want to be in that space anymore, because I felt like I had reached the peak of what I could accomplish in that space. And I needed to go learn new skills so that I can potentially maybe even come back later to use the skills that I've learned to sort of improve the situation. So a direct link to that is, when I left, I needed to learn how to shoot videos properly. I needed to learn how to mix music better. There's so many things I needed to learn. So the sound quality of our music, maybe most people have forgotten, was really, really bad in the early years. So from 95 up till like maybe 2003 even, the sound quality was not great, right? A lot of people don't go remaster the albums now, but the sound was
Yeah.
really bad. So one of the things I wanted to do was to go to a place where I could go be around professional sound engineers. The only place where I could do them at that time was to come to Yankee.
Hmm.
The videos weren't great. We didn't have the equipment. Well, even if we had the equipment, I mean, we shot Oya using crane and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Equipment dig ground, but people waste we use them not today.
No plenty. Yeah.
So I felt like I had peaked in that environment and I needed to go where I could go learn these things properly and come back.
Huh.
And, again, a direct connection to when I decided to make a return in 2008 was learning all of that stuff and coming back with Bossy Bangwa video. Let me tell you one fun fact.
Huh.
Do you know that Bossy Bangwa is the very first music video on the planet that was shot with a red camera?
On the planet?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Did you know that Bossy Bangwa was shot when the red did not even have a case? It was just the whole components, the whole
Just the
everything
body.
was red. It was just the body. They hadn't even come up with a casing for it.
Yes. Wow.
How I knew was because I was dealing with this company called Spitfire in Atlanta, and the red guys that built the camera sent one of their prototypes to those guys and told them to help them shoot some scenes to test the camera. And it was while they were doing that I decided I was going to shoot the video. And so we saw some of the footage and I was like, yo, this can do it. In fact, that prototype we would take shoot that time, it could only shoot for 5 minutes at a time. So you go shoot, then you go hot, then we'll go we'll go stop everybody for sets, give people drinks, give people food while they try to cool them down.
Calm down.
Then when they don't cool down, the guy say, okay, you know what? I think we can continue shoot again. They go on them again. Then, okay, no, we have to let us know when exactly. Okay, they rehearse scenes to shoot. Anyway, I say all of that to say that I was trying to find a way to push the envelope. I was trying to push the envelope. Let's more, because I realized that at some point we needed to catch up. Return of the King, probably until 5 years ago, was one of the best mixed albums that came out of Nigeria. People didn't recognize it at the time, but when you play Return of the King in 2004 next to any Nigerian album, it'd be like say they increased the volume times 7.
True.
The mix was standard. It was like industry radio Yankee standard because I did it while I was here. So pushing the envelope was what made me leave, in a sense. And when I felt like, okay, you know what, it's time to sort of go back. That was when I kind of decided to go back to Nige with, pretty much all we did at the time. And then my second leaving, that one was inspired by family, passion, and Nigeria just not Nigerian for me in a way that made sense anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's that's the one I actually wanted to clarify because I was thinking probably he saw that this country is not going to get better anytime soon, and we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And he thinks it's time to leave, and that man, I left, and when I left, I was inspired by Banky. That's how crazy it was. It was just a conversation between myself and Banky, and I was like, Banky, I'm gonna leave. I don't think I can, because if you could see ahead, you know that, man. And these days when I go back, right, I'm always grateful to God that I made that move at the time. You know, so and there's this saying when they say the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, you know, and the next time to do it is today, right? Like right now.
Right.
So if we have the new generation, the new guys coming up, and you want to give them like a word of advice on how to go about it today, what would you advise?
How to go about what now?
How to go about this, the life journey, you know, how to navigate, how to see the big picture, how to know what the next move is.
I would say I'll use an analogy that a friend of mine, Oladile, once used, which is that the natural thing to do is to go
Dale?
towards Dale.
Dale.
Right.
Shout out to Dale.
Big shout out to Dale. The natural thing to do is to go towards the light, right?
The light.
Yes, go towards the light. So, for example, in the jungle, if you plant, say there's bare land and it's desert, and then water starts coming there. After some time, some things will start to grow, right? After some time, those some of those things will grow into trees. Now, when a tree has grown, it will create shade. So anything that's coming after it is not going to be able to see light. And most times, anything that's coming after that tree has grown is likely to die. So the only things that will survive are things that can survive without light. If you are growing and you need to become a tree and you find yourself growing under the shade, you have to find light.
Mm.
You have to find a way to get to the light. So let me put that into practical terms.
Mm.
You were born. You don't determine where you're born. You don't determine the status of your parents when you're born. You're just born into a situation. It's like a roll of the dice, right?
Mm.
So you're born into a poor family. Nothing is happening for you. You're struggling because you want to get out of that situation to get to a better situation. That is you trying to find the light, right? So you move from Ajegunle
Yeah.
to Surulere. Then from Surulere, you move to Dolphin. Then from Dolphin, you go to Banana. Then from Banana, you go to Yankee.
Hmm.
You're moving towards the light. That's all you're trying to do is find light. Because guess what? If you don't find light, you will die, or the passion, the essence of living within you will die. So my whole thing, and I'm not trying to say this just to sound deep. What I'm trying to say is that whatever your situation is, find the light because it is there somewhere. You just have to find it. Sometimes it's moving out of Nigeria that is you finding the light. You said when you left and you went back, you realized, oh my God, this was a fantastic decision. At the time, there were struggles. When you are bending, twisting to try and get to the light, it is not easy.
Yeah, it was.
But once you find the light, the end has justified all the struggle that you did to get to that point. And the point of the matter is that for you to live a fulfilled life, you just have to find the thing that is the light, that thing that gives you meaning, the thing that allows you to wake up and feel alive. Find it somehow. I wasn't able to find that anymore in Nigeria in 2011 and 2012 when I decided, okay, I can't do this anymore because I realized that I found that light somewhere else and I needed to go towards it. And it meant dropping everything and going and literally starting afresh. And boy, like you, best decision ever. Best decision ever. Because where I did now, like alone, everything was soft.
Abi.
Everything is soft physically, mentally,
Everything.
socially, psychologically, everything soft. And I think that that's what my advice is to everyone is
so when you said the light, LD, when you said the light, I think it has a lot to do with mindset. You know, a lot of people see the light, but they don't have the mindset to move towards it. They knew it's actually better on the other side, but they just don't know how to pick themselves up and walk towards that direction because there's so many forces, you know, back there that will always pull you back. Like
agreed.
You cannot go. You cannot go. So I think changing your mindset would be the first move. Try and think different. And it is not easy.
It's not easy. Yeah,
it's not easy.
No, you're right. It's not easy. And you're right. You're 100% right. It's a mindset thing, right? Which is why that's the advice that I'm giving is recognize that moving towards the light is what you need to do. Just first of all, recognize that. And recognize that it is you that move towards the light. Nobody by sitting down for one place, they pray, say, God, please move the light, bring the light to me. No, that's not how it works. You have to move. So what is the thing that represents the light to you? How do you get there? Yes, especially coming from where we come from, everything is trying to pull you back to the darkness. Everything. The whole system is unfortunately set up to prevent you from being, I say people succeed in spite of Nigeria, not because of Nigeria. Right? So the point is, if you find yourself in a situation that is not favorable, recognize that you can always go towards the light. You can. It is possible. No matter what is trying to hold you down, there is some wiggle room for you to go towards the light, even if it's taking small steps at a time. Don't resign and say, well, okay, well, not just there, Sha. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, there was something you said earlier when you were talking about the country situation, and you said imagined people that has been ruling the country since the 60s and they're still there.
Yeah.
How do you actually want the new ones to progress? Because me, I remember say when I did grow, we are the leaders of tomorrow. We sing that song tire tire, and it's been 30 years after, we still they sing we are the leaders of tomorrow. Leaders of tomorrow, no change. Now the same old people. And look at the last election, Baba.
Mm.
Would you call that an election?
Shambolic.
It is. It is
Yeah.
traumatic.
Yeah.
I see I've forgotten her name. I think it's Chioma Chukuka, or one famous actress that was crying after being slapped. Like
Yeah.
like it is insane, where you can't even have a normal free and fair election,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you expect things to change.
Yeah.
Like you said, guys, just move towards that light. Just look for it. It might take a while, and seek information. You can actually make it happen, and there's something I also noticed, LD, on your page. I've been seeing all these testimonies from guys that you train. I don't know what the details are, but I know there's a whole lot of African Americans and some Africans that are here, want to change careers. But I know you've done, and I know that anything you do, you always have it on the extreme. But I don't really have what the details it. I don't have what the detail about what you're
What I'm
training, but
doing.
I know there's a course. I've seen testimonies from people.
Mhm.
They make videos and say, I learned this from LD. And would you like to
Talk
elaborate
about
on
that.
that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So when I came back, so when I first came to the US, I was obviously doing some IT stuff because even in Nigeria, I come from an engineering family. My dad is an engineer. My
Oh,
dad
okay.
was the leading pioneering engineer in Nigeria. Fun
Wow.
fact. Let me give you another fun fact. Another one again. Then plenty. My dad was the person that brought the internet, the very first person that brought the internet to Nigeria. So he set up pretty much everyone, all the companies that initially, all the first cyber cafes, all of those connections came through my popsy. So he was an IT guy.
Wow.
So naturally, by association, I did very aligned towards IT, even though I studied architecture, right? So when I reached Yankee, that was the easiest thing for me to do was to go down the path of IT.
Hmm.
So that's pretty much what I did as like my day job or the way that I earned money while I
Okay.
was still kind of, working my solo career, doing back and forth from Nigeria and all that kind of stuff, right? So when I
Hmm.
came back to the US, it was kind of the logical thing to do. So I went back into the space again. And a lot of the things that I left behind when I moved to Nigeria has sort of advanced. So I basically just played catch up and I built up the skills
Hmm.
that put me in a position to be able to train people who manage software development projects.
Software development project. Okay.
Yes. So people who manage software development projects, developers themselves, the people who manage the business side, people who manage the IT side. So
Hmm.
that's sort of the space that I was in. Now,
Okay.
while doing that, obviously my wife and I, started doing real estate, and real
Yeah.
estate kind of blew up for us. So we decided that instead of me spending time doing IT, we should just go full head on and focus on doing real estate. And so we did that.
Wow.
But then one thing that came to me while I was still doing that was people always come to me and say, "Hey, can you help me get the certification, get that certification?" Because I was already a certified trainer.
Oh.
So people used to come to me and say, "Okay, and then I realized that most of the people that I was training were Oyibo people, Indians, people we had to sabi from corporate
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And I come look say, "Come on, this is something that I can teach our people as well." And
Hmm.
don't forget, this is around the time when a lot of people they come from everywhere. People migrating to Canada, migrating to
Yeah.
Yankee,
Yeah.
England or whatever. So I basically decided at that point that I was going to teach people around me, my cousins, my friends, my sister, you get what I'm saying? So I started doing
Yeah.
that. And then the word started to spread. And then I,
Okay.
I built a program, and I still do that today. And it's sort of my give back mechanism because I feel the skills that I have can get people into six-figure incomes like that. I don't care where you're coming from. I don't care what your background is. And I was able to tailor my program to be able to
Hmm.
do that because the people where I've been they teach in the beginning, all the Oyibo people, the Indians where they talk about, they were mostly people who didn't have really any IT background. So I was able to tailor it in such a way. Now, let's say they teach small pekin, right? To teach you, even if you don't know anything about anything, like you don't know how software works, you don't know anything, I could basically, in a couple of weeks, get you to the point where you could manage software projects.
Wow.
So that was the program that I created, and that's kind of what you might have seen people giving
Yeah.
testimonies about. So it's something that I do. I have a passion for it. I love to do it. I do it mostly just on the weekends, just to sort of help the community around me. I also believe in one thing. I know my answers are very long, but I also believe in one thing. I believe that the people that are going to change Nigeria are outside Nigeria.
Yeah.
And what those people are lacking right now is financial capacity. So the more people that we can get into a space of financial freedom
Freedom. Yeah.
in North America, in Europe, and all these in Asia and all these other places. And my course is something that I teach globally. I have people everywhere: Australia, Finland, Japan, Malaysia, Yankee Canada, South America, right? If we can build that kind of capacity financially, then people will be comfortable enough to start to take Nigeria's issues very seriously, and we will be able to shift policy wherever we are, locally, internationally, and ultimately in Nigeria. So that's one of the things that drives me to want to do this is empowerment.
Yeah. So how do you access that platform?
So coachdabiri.com is the link that I basically share with everyone. And when you go to that link, it tells you what the program is about, how the program works, and then it gives you an opportunity to sign up for the program. Coachdabiri.com. Yeah.
Coachdabiri.com. Okay. Wow.
Now it's how they do on the side now, because thankfully, by the grace of God, I don't kind of retire now from like active music or even active like corporate or anything like that. Every now and again, if you see one contract, I think I want big money come, I say, okay, man, go down, right? But I'm grateful that I have the flexibility to be able to do that. But nothing gives me more joy than seeing people come from Nigeria or come from Cameroon or Ghana, to Yankee, they're trying to figure it out, and then the next thing they come to my course, they get a gig that pays them 150K, they buy their first house, they buy their first car, they go and get married properly. You know what I'm saying? They start a family, they're living a fulfilled life. Nothing gives me more joy than seeing that play out. So I've made it like my passion now, and I really enjoy it.
And you don't actually need a degree to do that.
You don't.
Awesome.
A lot of people don't realize that most of the tech companies don't even need you to have a degree anymore. Google doesn't need you to have a degree. Facebook
bless you.
Have a degree.
I tell them all the time, like, bro, this is 2023. I'm sorry, but the degree might not be as valuable as you think it is anymore, because everybody, most of these IT companies just care about your skill set. They just want to know if you can do the job, you can deliver it on time. But if you just go back, some people will come here now, go back to school to get student loan, spend another 4 or 5 years, and at the end of the day, come on, man, you don't need it. Just go to coachdabiri.com and go get yourself ready.
Get yourself situated. Because, and the funny thing is, I'm not even talking about just my program. I'm saying just in general. Cybersecurity data. There's so many things that you can learn, and the thing about it is that all of these things now, knowledge work. If you understand the framework, and nobody say you can just go do 1-2 day class, like you really understand it, right? And make sure when you're looking for courses that you go to people who can teach you the inner that will help you, especially somebody that can speak in a language that you understand. Because sometimes you can look at all these videos online, the way that they explain the thing is not really clear, right? Like you would think, okay, I kind of get what they're saying, but how do I apply this, right? This is where my course is very, very powerful, because I've built it in such a way that, for example, my niece at age 15 do the course and she passed and she get the certification. If a 15-year-old can do it, anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, she never entered uni now, and I still, middle school or high school she did that time. So the point is, if she can do it, then anybody can do it. And so that's where a lot of people are struggling, is sometimes you want to learn something new, but you can't. It's hard to find someone that can teach you
Teach
in
you
a
the right
way
way.
that makes
You
it
will understand
easy
it.
for you to
Yeah.
understand it. Because at the end of
True.
the day, people who do the work, they go do them like saying I want big thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, but you know what saddens me? Sometimes when I go to, let's say, places like maybe just a restaurant, or maybe I'm in McDonald's, or maybe just a retail store, and I see an African brother or sister, frying burgers on, and we get talking, and you realize that these people have degrees back home, you
Yeah.
know, bachelors back home, and they get here. There was one actual interaction that I had with somebody at Primark. You
Mm,
know, dude was a security boy. He knows me as Jabless from Niger.
mm,
So it was like, Jabless, Baba, I greet you, we greet you. Then we got talking, and I was like, "Are you comfortable doing this out here?" And he used to work in a bank in
mm,
Nigeria.
mm.
And I was like, but there are things you could do with your skill, with the skill you have in banking. There are some IT courses you could do up here that could change your story.
Mm.
You don't have to go through this path. And he's like, he doesn't even believe that it's possible,
That's
and
possible.
and this is just lack of information.
Yeah.
A whole lot of people don't even know that this is possible. There are people that you even tell them this is it, they will still don't believe it is possible. They will tell you, you don't have a certificate for that course in America. You don't have this, and I mean, this is why conversations like this are needed. So that you can actually because you're already at the light, then you need more light. To
Yeah.
take you to that level. You
You need
know,
to. You need it. Kind of comes back to the whole finding the light thing, right? Is recognizing that some people don't do them. So ask them how they take do them.
how they do them? Yeah,
How they
yeah,
take do them? Say, Baba, how you take do them? What thing you they do? You get what I'm saying? And I think that's a conversation we don't have enough of. And
yeah,
also, we have a culture of not sharing as well. So
yeah,
let's not just blame the victim. the
yeah,
victim.
yeah.
We
True,
also have a
true.
culture of people they do. I say,
Yeah.
how fun up, guy? You just enter this place now. What thing they do? Say, na God. Oh."
Now, God, yeah. Yeah, I made a video about that a couple of weeks ago. It actually went viral. Like people went crazy. I was like, Nigerians don't share information among themselves. Everybody wants this person to look up to them. Like,
That's right.
and it's not a right mentality. Like,
It's not.
really?
There's no way we can grow collectively. And the thing is, people don't think about collective growth because what they believe, say, our success is based upon the ability to trample people we know they're successful around us.
Mm,
If that is your mindset, then Nigeria is what it is, right?
mm.
That's why Nigeria is the way it is.
Yeah, then you're Nigeria.
If you people we sabi, no one make anybody else sabi
Yeah,
because they
you're
believe in that
Nigeria.
waiting they make them relevant with that.
That, yeah.
We even get some proverbs where people they engineer to support that concept. Tishu
Mm.
eniba
I'm out for what, Jenny? Tisha
okay.
anybody, Gino?
To
I'm out
bati
for what,
jino,
Jenny?
I'm for boni say homo this
You
yam
guys keep them.
guys hide them, chop them low key. No
Yeah.
tell anybody say come on yam they this side we want to go find yam. So the
Mm.
point is, if that is the mentality, then it's also difficult for us to grow. And that's one of the things that I tell everyone that comes through my program is listen, me, I don't teach you now. You go begin to see money. When you start to see money, teach other people yourself.
Hmm.
Show other people the way. It doesn't, there's no satisfaction in me being an island of success. It makes no sense to me.
Hmm.
I need to see other successful people. And maybe I've just always been that way. But it's one of the lessons that I learned from, going back to our whole conversation about Afrobeats and seeing hip
Yeah.
hop, right?
Yeah.
Flavor Unit was a crew. Leaders of the New School was a crew. Tribe Called Quest was a crew.
True.
It's not just by a single. No, you have to build a movement for there to be any significant impact. No single person can do all of these things by themselves.
Yeah.
Now they talk say person with successful people know they are around them. Really this
He's as poor as the others.
because now average they take average.
So, oh Lord, do you train people on real estate too? Like,
I do actually. I'm putting together something to sort of simplify some of the real estate models that we have, which I'm also very excited to share with the community. I'm actually working on it actively right now, so that by the end of this summer, well, I'd built something, but I'm modifying it, and I'm working on it. So hopefully before the end of this summer, I'll have something that people can just consume. That walks
it is
through
crazy.
step by step. Yeah.
It's hard for us to actually understand the system here, how things work here.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes it might take you a decade to actually understand what the basics are of how things work in America. If you
Right.
just jump into them, just like say everything there, right? But there are some like I started learning a lot about real estate
Hmm.
couple of years ago, like 2 3 years ago, and
Hmm.
the benefit is enormous.
In
The
fact.
kind of advantage, the kind of tax benefit you could get from owning properties or being into rental business is crazy. And a lot of us don't even know what those informations are. I think you should it should be part of whatever you're trying to put together so we can actually understand that there are so many advantages when you own properties in places like that because the system or they made a whole lot of things easy when you have properties and
I mean,
I know, yeah.
when you look at it, sorry,
Go,
I didn't
go
mean to
on.
cut you off.
No, no, go on, go on.
Yeah. When you look at it and you ask yourself, how is the majority of the wealth of the world built?
Hmm.
Not real estate now.
True.
It's real
True.
estate or stocks.
Yeah.
It's one of
True.
those
True.
two. Is either real
True.
estate, stocks, or drugs. You know what I'm saying? And drugs on the pharmaceutical side and
And the El
and
Chapo side.
the electrical side. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if you want to do something legitimate, obviously, real estate is one of the easiest ways. It's just that, like you said earlier, it's about information too, right? Say when
Yeah.
people get information, we didn't share with other people. I think
Mhm.
that there's some basic things maybe say you could notice for American communities or just in North America in general. When people they teach their children some certain concepts, right?
Yeah.
We know too sabi because of where we come from. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
those are things that are not familiar to us. So the few of
Yeah.
us we don't go learn 'em from those Oyinbo people, more they share 'em with our own people as well, which
Yeah.
is what my whole mission is with even putting together a program like that, so that people will
Yeah.
feel understand. Say, oh, more this thing because everybody people they see money,
It is
but waiting to
money.
carry the money do is
Do
usually
now they don't know. Yeah.
and I can tell you right now for a fact that without a doubt, real estate is one of the easiest ways to grow money. I don't think there's like legally, not like it's almost like El Chapo type movement. If you figure out the formula of
Yeah.
how to do it, real estate is one of the only things that you can do that can flip 100K to 1 million in like 6 months.
Yeah.
There's only real estate that can do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
only real estate. If you go carry drugs from Honduras, come Yankee, if you see that kind of money too.
That now if they don't catch you, cut your head.
But you get the point, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
if,
Where you
if
go play, I'm safe, and
yeah,
and
that's right.
everything is by the book legally.
That's right. So and again, when people hear it too, they think maybe there's something. No, it's not illegal. That's how Trump made his money. That's how all the real estate. That's how. So it's either you're doing that, especially in America or even in China. It's either you're doing that or you're doing some type of stocks.
Hmm.
Now the only thing is if you just quadruple, quintuple money with that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to share that.
Ah, awesome, awesome. I think I should leave this for you guys at home. If you want to, I said this on my Instagram live a couple of days ago that if you want to achieve anything in life, like look for somebody who is doing the same thing on a higher level, right? This is like there's one of my mentors used to tell me that if you don't have a mentor, you're in trouble. If your mentor does not have a mentor, you're even in bigger trouble, right? You have to always look up to somebody. There are people that have gone through this journey for 10, 12, 15 years,
Mm,
and they can make you achieve it in 6 months. All you
that's
need to do
right.
is just pay for that service and let them show you the blueprint. It's
That's right.
easy, they'll show it to you. But our people, they want to get everything for free. But no, sometimes it's worth paying for.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
into the level, go and learn it, and you just find yourself there.
The funny thing, and what you're saying is 100% correct, right? You see somebody is going back to this whole light analogy, right? You see somebody who's already in the light. That's the light you're trying to get to. But you don't ask them, say, bye bye, take rich, right? And then also the flip side of it, people wait on date the light. No one make people say they even did the light. They want just be quiet somewhere. They don't want to share the secrets with anybody. We all have
Yeah.
to sort of change our behaviors. But
Hmm.
what I'm getting at is that sometimes people, and like you said, people don't value paying for information.
Sure, yeah.
Information that can solve all the problems. It's like you're in a dark room and you're trying to find the door. You don't even know where the walls are. but you know, say door there here somewhere where if you take escape this dark room.
Yeah.
Then person say, come,
I
if you
know where
give
this
me,
door deal.
I know where this door deal. Take just bring 10 card, man. I go guide you, go where the door day. Say, I know this Baba just won't collect my money. Man, just they feel I'm out by myself.
Mm,
Hopefully one day I'll find the door. That's essentially what most people are doing.
exactly.
What people also fail to recognize is that when you're paying someone for knowledge that they've acquired over time, what you're paying for is for them to also give you part of their time now.
Yes. Yeah.
So for me now, if I want to teach people my class, I got to cut out 5 hours every weekend to teach people this thing. That 5 hours is time that I don't get to spend with my family. It's time that I don't get to do anything else but focus on teaching you.
Hmm.
But what you will tell me is that, I can't pay you for that time. Just give it to me for free.
Hmm.
That's not sustainable. I might do it for free, and I did do it for free, and I have done it for free a
Great.
bunch of times, but it's not sustainable. The only way I can sustain it is to know that because you give me money, you go show up. Because most of the times when I did the classes for free,
Yeah. If you don't pay, you don't pay attention.
nobody's paying attention. 5 hours, 5 hours is a long time to be sitting down explaining something to someone. If the person don't pay money, they say go tire now. They go look say, oh, this thing don't do long. Might go watch
Yeah. I go come back.
I just skip Manchester United now because I want to teach this class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I would rather do with my time is sit down and watch one game. They laugh at my friends. Hey, Arsenal is losing, Arsenal is losing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I would rather be doing. But I'm skipping those things to come and spend time with you. And nobody say when I spend the time with you, finish now. The thing for no work, it's guaranteed. It's worked.
It's gonna work
for the last 6-7 years for hundreds of people. In fact, thousands of people. It's hundreds of people every year. Last year, out of my program, 152 people in 2022.
Wow.
152 people went from wherever they were to making 150K in USD a year.
Wow.
That is 20 something million dollars in wealth created.
Right.
That gives me motivation to continue to do it.
Yeah.
But people where they look at from the side saying, just give me the Baba, just cut the soap now. Don't cut the soap, more
but let me ask. Do you mind? You can decide not to share it. Do you mind telling us what the price for the course is? Or if you don't want to share it, it's fine too.
No. It's not even about not wanting to share it. Is that they're different. It's different for different people. So if you're like brand new, you have no idea. You can join and just get certified. You can join, get certified, and become part of the community. What does that mean? Meaning that even while you don't work, I'm still available to you.
Oh, okay.
So if you need support, especially if you're completely new to the field, what I advise is, okay, make sure that you're part of the full program so that I'll still be available to you after you've taken the class, after you've gotten your certification, after you've started working.
Okay.
So some people go come with me say, they go say, no. In fact, I don't do the course before. I just want to get a refresher. So that's different. So they're all different.
Different package for depending on what your needs.
It just depends on what your needs are. So I try and make it flexible like that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, but my advice is if you really want to learn about it, just go to coachdabiri.com, COACHDABIRI.com.
Okay. All right. I actually have an IT program that I do too. But my own is one-on-one. I really don't do it in classes. Yeah, it's one-on-one and it's $10,000. If you can't, I understand, but I know that this is going to move you from wherever you are to, and that's what changed my life too. I never made money from music. It was until I got here and started new skills. That was why everything changed. And
fantastic.
So, yeah. And it's been a wonderful ride. I'm just going to go through a few fire questions, then we can round up, Baba.
Oh, yeah.
Best book you've ever read?
Best book I've ever read is, I'm sorry, I'm overanalyzing the question. But when you say the best book, I can tell you the most impactful book, the most enjoyable book, the most, like, when you say the best.
Okay, no, let's go to impactful.
The most impactful book I've ever read is The Art of Thinking Clearly by David Allen. I'm sorry, no. The Art of Thinking Clearly by Yes. Is it David
David
Allen?
Allen.
Let it come. Let me make sure.
The Art of Thinking Clearly. That sounds like a great one.
Oh, The Art of Thinking Clearly is by Rolf Dobelli.
Ralph
Rolf
Dobelli.
Dobelli. Rolfdobelli. I'm thinking of two different books. Actually, you know what? I think those two books rank side by side. The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf Dobelli. And then the second book is Getting Things Done by David Allen.
By David Allen. Okay. Okay.
Getting Things Done
Yeah.
changed my whole
I've
life.
read Getting Things Done though.
Changed my whole-
That's a crazy one.
it changed
Yeah.
my whole life. So yeah. I said
Okay.
those are, yeah.
Best movie
Woo.
or best impactful movie?
Damn, that's a tough one. The Matrix.
Hmm.
Why?
Yeah, why? Why Matrix?
Because you realize that everything that we experience could be in a simulation and it could be in a controlled environment.
Yeah. I have another reason for you though.
Everything we're experiencing is, yeah, it could be in a controlled environment. This whole life could be a simulation. What is to say right now that I'm not the only person in existence and everything else is just playing around me? I don't know.
Yeah.
What is to say right now that what I experience is not just some little kid somewhere who has created one little program and we're all just computer code? I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah, so Matrix kind of messed with my head.
It is. It is. Matrix is crazy, right? And
Yeah.
then you'd be like, no, the reason why I said I have one for you is like, if you've seen the Matrix and you see the way you move, you know, you're like 20, 30 years ahead. Like you just see further, and it's always in a controlled environment, like you said. Okay, this is not good for me, then I'm moving. Yeah, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
Matrix is a good one. The last tricky one. Your mom,
Yes.
your wife, and your daughter. Who comes first for you?
Bro, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough. That's what I'm asking.
Mom, wife,
And
or
daughter.
daughter. Who comes first? I would probably go in the order of daughter, wife, then mom.
Mom. Okay.
And the reason for going in that order is my daughter is the one who needs me the most.
Hmm.
And followed by my wife and then my mom. My mom brought me into this world. Obviously, she's critical to my very existence.
Hmm.
But my mom has also lived a long, fulfilled, enjoyable life. My wife is halfway through her own journey. My daughter is just starting.
Just starting. Hmm.
So, yeah, if you're asking who I love the most, I don't love anyone the most. But if I had to choose, and hopefully that never ever happens, I would choose to protect my daughter first.
Hmm. Mrs. W will go on you on this one.
No,
She will.
so the thing about it is, even my mom would understand it. And if I'm sure if someone asked her the question, if someone asked her what she thinks I should do, she would probably say it in the exact same order.
Yeah, but I think your wife would prefer her to come first before your daughter. Your wife.
I don't think so. I think she would understand why I would want my daughter to come first. She would
This
also
one would be a
understand
real
it, yeah.
conversation out there on social media. I know when I put it
probably
out, they'll be
would.
like, they'll be like, no, my mom, after the suffering, now want to speak my woman.
So the thing about, and this is also, these are some of the things in our culture too that I think is important that we put in perspective, right? Your mom, you don't have a choice who your mom is, but you have a choice who your wife is.
Can you
You
expand
don't
that
have
a
a
bit?
choice who your mother is.
Of course, yes.
They just born you. You could just come. Okay, who be my mama? Okay, this person. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right? But you have a choice who your wife is. You pick a
True.
wife as somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with. If mentally somewhere you will always choose your mom over that person, then that person becomes something that you're just using to make babies.
Hmm.
If you think of your wife as like an asset, some kind of property or something where we say, okay, this one just stay here so that you will never be able to prioritize that person enough for even you to have a good life.
Hmm. Hmm.
That person will give you their all if they feel like you will give them your all.
Oh.
If they
Yeah.
feel at any point that you will give somebody else your all, then they will not give you their all, which will make your life, because they're the ones you live with, miserable.
Miserable.
So protect your own self. It's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Protect yourself, protect your sanity, protect your own happiness. Make your home priority number one. Everything else, the minute you marry, and this is something that they taught us in marriage counseling, that at the time I didn't think too deeply about, but when I thought about it later, it made a lot of sense, which is once you marry, this your new unit is now priority number one.
God bless you.
Everything else comes after this unit.
After.
Everything else. If you want to use religion, so if you want to
Yeah.
use whatever it is that you want to use, your immediate family, your nuclear family, they call it, becomes priority number one. Everybody else fall to the sideline, because the minute you let the outside in, the inside won't work.
The moment you let the outside in, the inside will not
It won't
work.
work again. It won't work again. You're just, yeah.
Baba, I think that's the best thing I've ever heard in a long time. It's just a good way to let it go. Oh my God. Thank you so much. If you like I go school today. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. It's wonderful. The conversation was awesome. I love every bit of it. Thank you. If people wants to follow you, I know on Instagram is LD the Don.
Yeah.
What about other platforms?
Twitter is also LD the Don, and I just mostly Instagram and Twitter. I'm on Facebook as well, but I needed to do Facebook because Facebook not for old people now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Instagram is kind of like where I hang out the most, because my Instagram followers are the most organic. There are people where we say get similar interests with me. Twitter, I get like 1 million something, but I know now music doesn't really fine.
Yeah. And also for the courses, it's coachdabiri.com.
It's dabiri.com.
Yeah, for people to follow. So thank you, LD. Hopefully we have you some other time on the show too.
I appreciate it. Before I go, I just want to say that, first of all, thank you for inviting me. And then also thank you for being very kind. You've been very kind to me. You've said a lot of nice things to me, and I'll be remiss if I don't acknowledge that.
I'm just being real. I'm just being real. Everything I said was truthful.
I appreciate it. And I see you as someone who is not just doing this to contribute to the culture, but someone who's actually very important to the culture. So please continue to do this. Don't stop. And yeah, I hope more power to you. I want to learn more about your program as well. So maybe offline we can talk.
Offline, I'll discuss with you.
I really appreciate you inviting me, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Coming from you, that's a World Cup for me. Thank you so much. All right. See you next time. All right.
Listen, bro.
You have to always look up to somebody. There are people that have gone through this journey for 10, 12, 15 years, and they can make you achieve it in 6 months. All you need to do is just pay for that service and let them show you the blueprint. It's easy.
The flip side of it, people we don't date the light. No one make people say they even date the light. They won't just stay quiet somewhere. You know, they don't want to share the secrets with anybody. We all have to sort of change our behaviors. We know if we talk about Afrobeats, more no talk about Alaba. We know if we talk about Afrobeats, more no talk about even fashion. And I think people in Nigeria don't understand how far this thing has gone. It has gone very, very, very far.
My name is Jobless.